It was bound to happen, wasn't it? A Sonic Riders video. For the people who are unfamiliar, this is my all-time favorite racing game. Undisputed. A close second might be Downhill Domination, but that's a story for another time. Sonic Riders came out in 2006 for the GameCube, PlayStation 2, and Xbox, and let me tell ya, I had this on the GameCube, okay? If you watch my previous videos, you know I'm a big GameCube guy. This game was a very important game for me because I believe that I wouldn't love Sonic as much as I do today if it wasn't for this game. I love Sonic Adventure, Sonic Adventure 2, but this was my first Sonic game. Now, it may sound ridiculous that a Sonic spin-off is one of my first games, but this game my older brother owned, so I just played whatever he had, right? I never went out of my way to ask for anything, but this game stood out to me. As I've mentioned in my previous videos, look at the cover, man. Just look at it. It's Sonic on a hoverboard. I can't like stress that point enough, that it is the most pointless and coolest thing to ever exist. Because how do you think of putting the fastest thing alive in the universe on a hoverboard and make it so cool? Cause like, this is way cooler than this. They did this before they put Sonic in cars. Like, that's how great of an idea it was. They did this before thinking of, oh, let's put Sonic in a car, before Sonic Team Racing or Sonic Racing, whatever the series is called. But I believe that this is a game that if you haven't experienced in your life, you should at least try it once. It may not be for everybody. Not everyone might like racing games, but if you do like racing games, I highly encourage you to get it, play it with your friends, play it on whatever platform, nothing specific, but there are many ways that you can play with your friends. But I cannot stress to recommend this game enough. But enough with the glazing. Let me get into why this is my favorite racing game. Now, before I get into more detail about this game, I just want to start off with the intro for this game. When you put this game in to your console and launch it up, you get one of the coolest animated opening scenes ever. Just look at it. This whole style could have been an anime. They should have made a Sonic Riders anime just based off of this. I don't know if it was enough of a success to do all that, but I believe that this art style should have stayed for a while during this era because this was amazing. Although eras did switch right after this game, but you know, wouldn't hurt to do one more game with this. But regardless, you get a really cool opening cutscene, and then the cutscene when you start the story is also amazing because the 3D models look awesome. Like, those models still stay up to date to this day. That's how amazing they look. Unfortunately, right after these cutscenes, it kind of comes to a crash and burn because we get the Sonic Heroes treatment where everything looks good in the cutscenes, but when you get to the gameplay, everything looks all raggedy and rough. But you know, it's a 2006 game, so you can't really blame them. Imagine the budget if they used the same models in the cutscene to make a game with it. That'd be ridiculous back then. But despite the models and everything being kind of a blanket over how the game actually looks, the racing part to it is amazing. The fact that this game feels so technical when you're playing it, when you first start out, this game feels so complicated, but once you get it down, it's amazing. You can do tricks, boosts, you can hit your enemies, you can do specific tricks off a ramp. It is so much to it. You can ride the wind. It's amazing. And I think that Sonic Riders really should come back. I don't think this ever should have been left in the dust because the sequel after it is also not that great, and the one that's after that one is also not that great. But I believe that the original Sonic Riders was the golden key. I don't think they ever should have switched anything because the gameplay was amazing. The story, mediocre, but I believe that the gameplay more than enough made up for it. Unfortunately, I didn't get to play with anybody because at the time, no, I didn't have enough controllers. I couldn't set it up with my brothers. But this is definitely a game you could sit down and play with your friends and have fun because there are so many factors to it that doesn't make it feel like a boring racing game because anything can make you win. It could be based off of how many rings you have. It can be based off of the wind that you ride. It could be based off of what character you pick because every character has a different type and advantages in certain stages. There are 3 different types in this game, which is power, speed, and flight. Now, this is very obvious, but I'm going to state it regardless for video purposes. Sonic is speed, Knuckles is power, Tails is flight. Now for Babylon, Jet is speed, Storm is power, and Wave is flight. Now, this is only for the story mode. There are other characters that you can unlock after you beat the story mode, and you can unlock Amy Rose, Dr. Eggman, Cream the Rabbit, Rouge the Bat, Shadow the Hedgehog, E10000G, E10000R, II, Knights, Ulala, and Supersonic. Now, as for the types for them, you're gonna have to figure it out yourself because I'm not stating all of them. But there are 54 boards that you can pick from for each of these characters. Now, not every character can use the same board. There are some boards that are only specifically for speed, and some specifically for power, or some specifically for flight. Some characters can use power boards, and some characters cannot. Like Sonic can use some of the power ones, but he also can't use some of the speed ones, because many of these boards are meant specifically for certain characters, or they may just be for a certain group of characters like. But enough of the little details, we're going to start talking about the Extreme Gear, which is the boards they use to race on. Now, the Extreme Gear runs off of air, which is used to perform jumps, steer, and brake. But you can run out of the air, and in order to get the air back, you need to perform air tricks, pick up air item boxes, or by utilizing air pits. Now, obviously air pits is technically the worst option because you have to stop in the middle of a race in order to get your air back. The more optimal move is to do an air trick and gain your air back by getting the highest rank, which is X. And the ranks go by X, SS, S, AA, A, B, and C. X is worth 10 points, SS is worth 8, S is worth 6, AA is worth 4, A is worth 2, B is worth 1, and C is worth 0. So obviously you want to aim for the X rank to get the most points. And the more points you get, the more air you earn, which allows you to gain a better boost. Rings are also very important for your boost because they expand how much air your board can hold. The amount of rings you need go up by 30 each time, so when you hit 30, you get more, 60, you get more, 90, you get the max. But you don't want to get hit or fall off the map because if you do, you end up losing all your rings and have to pick them all back up again, and you lose all your upgrades. Alright, now that we got that out of the way, I think it's time that we move on to the story. The story, realistically, is very mediocre, but that's to be expected considering that this game is a spin-off. But the three characters that do get introduced within this game, and it's their first introduction, as I mentioned before, is Jet, Wave, and Storm. Jet, Wave, and Storm are really cool. Jet is just like Sonic. Sonic gets a taste of his own medicine within this story. It is crazy. Like, Jet is actually an antagonist. But when you play from his perspective, it's funny. It's funny as hell because this man just loves irritating Sonic, and Sonic doesn't clap back once, like not once. He just sees it as like a haha friendly banter the whole time.
Not very impressive for someone of your reputation. You know, I've checked you out actually. Not bad. I admit you're pretty fast on your feet. But here, it's a whole different story when riding with Extreme Gear. You see, to be the fastest on a gear, you have to become one with the wind. Without wings, well, you might as well kiss the ground and go home.
Jet is trying to get into his head and make him screw it up because he wants to be number one. That's his whole shtick. It's crazy. Wave is kind of like female Tails. I guess that's just a way to put it. She's the smart one of the group. She's the one who makes all the extreme gear for the Babylon Roads. And Storm, I'm sure you can already assume, but he's just a big meathead and he loves punching things. Him and Knuckles get into plenty of arguments and fights because Knuckles smacked the dog out of him in the opening cutscene. Like, damn! But let's never forget, even though it's a spin-off, Eggman has a very big role to play within this. He hired the Babylon Roads to go and obtain the Chaos Emeralds for him so he could help them figure out about their history. He did also warn them about Sonic, which Sonic was also looking for the emeralds at the time, and when they obtained one, obviously they ended up encountering him. But Eggman's main goal was to obtain the treasure that was being held in Babylon Garden, which the Babylon Roads had, and he wanted to get it from them. So he set up a big plan by setting up a big race in order to get everybody to bring their Chaos Emeralds so he could unlock Babylon Garden. Well, get Jet to unlock Babylon Garden, because he didn't have the key, Jet had it. So he conveniently stole it from him right after he opened up the area. And then he made us go through all this hassle of chasing him and making me do the hardest race in the game. But that's besides the point. But I just want y'all to know that race was very difficult with Wave, and I lost my mind playing that. But that's besides the point. After that, we get to be able to race and fight against a boss fight within this game, which is very cool. It was a very cool way that they did it. But in the end, we end up beating the genie that protects the area, and we get a carpet, a magic carpet. Eggman did not know. He did all that for a magic carpet that he didn't even look into, didn't even do nothing. He just saw it and he's just like, hey, y'all got it, man. After trying to rob them, but hey, you know, he got it, and then he didn't want it, and then it turns out it was a magic carpet, the last treasure of the Babylons. But it was really like a short and sweet story, really. I don't know, seeing Sonic get like punked like that throughout the whole story, I felt some type of way. But like, to be honest, Jet was an amazing character. He was just perfectly antagonizing Sonic and giving him a taste of his own medicine, because this is probably how Shadow felt throughout games like Sonic Adventure 2 and Shadow Generations, because this is insane, because this is the max amount of antagonizing, instigating, whatever you want to call it. But just know, whatever it is, Jet did it well. Now, to be honest, I was just gonna end the video here, but I opened Sonic Riders again and I realized that I don't have all the characters unlocked. So, you know what would make this more entertaining? Me attempting to unlock all the characters. Wouldn't that be awesome, right? Come on, y'all. It's 2025. I am not going to be doing that. Well, we got a brand new Sonic game with Extreme Gear back. Sonic Racing Cross Worlds. Y'all can bet that y'all gonna get a video on that. Well, that's it for today, guys. If you liked the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. It really helps me out and motivates me to make more videos. See y'all in the next one.